Recommendations in this video are: minimum i5 dual core with threading support, if buying new 7th generation as minimum. If buying used or refurbished then it's 3rd generation. 3 MB caches minimum, recommended 6 MB. For reasons, please go through full video. Bismillah ar Rahman ar Rahim. Hello everyone. I am starting with PC hardware. From video series on. Tips on personal computers. Buying, maintaining and upgrading. This video is about processors. Let's get started. I am not very fond of Atom Celerons and i3s. Because lack of processing power. A PC should be powerful enough to do multitasking easily. Occasional heavy computing should not left you in frustration. Instead of getting a low-end PC or notepad with Atom or Celeron, better to use your smartphone as PC. Attach keyboard and mouse with smartphone. Project it on big screen. Here you go. You have a PC. Incoming messages or calls may be annoying. Maybe I need to do a video on this too. Anyways, your real PC should be powerful enough. But this series is not about too much power. We are not talking about gaming computers or the computers that can handle professional stuff like CAD designing or frame-by-frame video editing. We want a PC that is good enough. Produce videos like I'm recording right now. Do some light 3D designing. Can handle some small databases. Some powerful Excel programs. And do not feel underpowered. Processor is not only component. Underpower can be result of other hardware too. Talking about cloud computing. I'm an old school person. So I want my software on my PC. All I use on cloud is Fusion 360 program from Autodesk for 3D designs. But even that is not 100% cloud, as it installs a software on PC, but need net connectivity to run. Though uses processing power of my system. So far I am not a cloud guy. Where you display is used and processing is done remotely. Let's understand core and threads of a processors. Let's say if I pack 4 processors in one chip, that will become a multi-core processor. So if the pack contains 2 processors, it's dual core. And if the pack contains 4 processors, it's quad core. So a multi-core processor can have processors 2, 4, 6 or cores. Just like we have in our cell phones. So when you have a real processors chip together, that will become core. And what if split these processes, theoretically, into smaller processors? These are called logical processors. So your PC can handle more processes at one time. This is technical way of telling your PC that it has more processors. But you need to remember, whenever we convert our processors into threads or logical processors, the processing power of actual processor get divided. Like I have 4 processors here, and if I can convert them into 8 processors, these 2 will be equal to power of 1 processor. So it's a bargain. But threads are really useful. with multitasking. They help in simultaneous computing of processes. More applications running. More threads or logical processors are helpful. But if you want to run one heavy application, then threads may be a problem. They can slow down the system. But they are helpful when a PC is booting up. Use of thread or not depends upon applications running at that time. Let's play with my CPU. Let me show you what I have. I will go to my taskbar and open Task Manager. Now click on Performance tab. You can see I have one CPU. But if I right-click on Graph and change Graph to Logical Processors, then you will see my 4 processors usage individually. A lot of information is available here. Especially useful if you are facing bottlenecks and delays. My threads are off. Only my core processors are in use. Should I show how to turn threads on? Let's do it. Let me show you how to turn on the threads, which is done through changes in Basic Input-Output System BIOS. Let's go to BIOS. Please bear with this video, as it was recorded with external camera. I'm restarting my system. This is my BIOS. You can enter your BIOS as per your motherboard requirements. And definitely mine BIOS menu will be different. Mine is from HP. I will go to System Configuration. Then Device Configuration. You need to look for HT. Hyper-thread or threading. Here it is. HT will turn on logical processors. Split my processor into 2. This is Intel Hyper-thread. Let's enable. Now need to save and reboot. But here is a catch. Whenever threading is turned on or off, PC will shut down, not restart directly. Let me log in and go to the Task Manager. And let's see what we have now. Converting graph to logical processors. And now you can see I have 8 processors, do I? Earlier these were 4. So now thread are on. And computing power is divided into 2. But PC can process more applications at one time now. If I look at current computations, 278 processes. My system now powerful for multitasking, but weak for single application. Many applications don't handle threads very well, as threading need different programming technique, which at least I can't do. So keep threads on or off is dependent upon your application requirements. But I have dual core. I keep them on. On quad core processors, I generally keep threads off. Let's talk about knowing specs of your processor. Let's go to this PC. Right-click for Properties. Now you can see I have this i7-Q820 processor with 20 GB of RAM. This is Windows 10 and so on. Let's Google Q820. Look for results from Intel.com. Intel will share full details of processor. This is first generation i7-820QM. There are 4 cores and 8 threads or 8 logical processors. You should also notice cache capacity. Cache is like RAM of your processor. It can boost processing speed. Bus speed is in gigatransactions per second. And maximum memory size. Intel reports 8 gigabytes. But in Windows it was 20 gigabytes installed. So motherboard plays an important role in this. PCI version is important. For me it's version 2. I will do separate video on PCI. This has become very important now. Now let's look for advanced features. There is Turbo Boost technology. Helps in saving energy. Hyper-threading. Virtualization. In advanced technologies. So you know your processor now. Let's compare this processor with a better one, not latest one. Let's find a 6th generation processor and add that to compare to. First add this to compare. Let's now search. Like 6th generation processor. i5 6500. Let's add this to comparison. Let's compare these two processors. First one was i7, this is i5. First generation versus 6th generation. i7 was launched in 2009 and the other was in 2015. i7 had 4 cores and 8 threads. But i5 has 4 cores and no threads. Later generation do not always mean threading support. Max frequency is important, which is 3.6 GHz. My i7 has 8 megabytes cache. i5 has 6 MB cache, but look at the bus speed. 2.5 gigatransactions per second versus 8 GHz transaction per second. That's huge difference between generations. Though I am still fond of i7 from first generations. Supported memory side 8 GB versus 64 GB. Memory speed 1.3 GHz vs 2.3 GHz. Almost double. 1 a double 6 and 2 1 double. PCI version 2 to 3 upgrade. What else is important? Turbo Boost technology. Version 1 versus 2. Let's look for more advancements. Few technologies are available in 6th generation but not in 1st generation. I believe this is more to do with artificial intelligence and image processing, which have improved over period. This is just a guess. Anyways, this is how you go and check specs of your processor in detail. Windows 11 need TPM Trusted Platform Module 2.0. Though I heard this requirement has been reduced to version 1.1. And secure boot technology. Time to share my recommendation. If you are buying a new PC, don't go below i5 7th generation. with at least 4 logical processors. Means it can be a dual core with threading technology. I am recommending 7th generation. Because that's minimum for Windows 11. Though I have not yet shifted to Windows 11. But today's investment should last long enough. Though one can install Windows 11 on older systems too. But that is not automated process so far. But if you are getting a refurbished or a used PC, I would suggest to don't go below. Again, it's i5 dual core plus threading, which will give you 4 logical processors. And on the generation side, I would recommend that you should get at least 3rd generation. There are 2 reasons for getting at least 3rd generation. First, 3rd generation is better on heating and energy consumption. Secondly, Zoom meeting application, which is frequently used now, can change video background without requirement of green background curtain. Though I can do this on my 1st Gen i7. But with help of another software. So natively i5 3rd General can do without problems. I have a 2nd Gen i5 too. That is working fine too and is quick enough too. But it gets too hot to put that laptop in your lap. I will cover Zoom solution when I go to software videos. The main reason for preferring 3rd generation over others is availability of SATA and PCI Express version 3. This will be discussed in later videos. I want to stress on processor cache. It's like RAM of your processor when doing heavy processing. This is very helpful. The more the merrier. 6 MB is recommended, though 3 MB is bare minimum recommendation. There are few other technologies like Direct Compute, OpenCL and CUDA. I will talk about them. With GPU videos, graphic processor units. So, remember, over generations the processors are producing less heat. They are more energy efficient. Their speeds are getting better. Like processor speed can go up to 5 GHz, and their processing power has increased. Their cores and threads have increased. But my recommendations are based on value and utility. In next video I will talk about casings and power supply. And do remember, we are not building a gaming or a professional PC. We are building a PC which is good enough for my day-to-day tasks. And powerful enough that whenever you need to do heavy processing, it will be able to support you. Till next video, bye bye.